Today, we're sorting through every mouse deer we could find and lining them up from smallest to largest. These animals are skittish, fast and difficult to find. One species even managed to dodge cameras for over a century, having been described in the early 1900s, but only photographed for the first time in 2019. So, who are these elusive little creatures anyway? Let's break down where they fit in the animal kingdom before we meet them one by one. All known mouse deer belong to the family Tragulidae, which includes 3 distinct genera: Tragulus, Mosciola, and Hyomoscus. Chevrotains form a separate evolutionary branch from deer, antelope, and other modern even-toed ungulates. One of their most defining traits is their foot structure. They have 4 functional toes on each foot, a feature considered ancestral. While most ungulates walk mainly on their 3rd and 4th toes, these guys still use the 2nd and 5th as well, giving them a broader, more stable base to move through dense undergrowth with surprising agility. As for how they're grouped, geographic location is the key. The genus Mosciola includes the spotted chevrotains of India and Sri Lanka, known for their distinctive white dots and stripes. The genus Tragulus includes the more plain-coated mouse deer of mainland and island Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. And finally, the genus Hyomoscus includes just one species, the Water Chevrotain, which lives in Central and West Africa, and is the only member of the family found outside Asia. Although some people use the terms chevrotain and mouse deer to mean different things, with chevrotain sometimes referring to the spotted Mosciola and mouse deer to the plainer Tragulus, we'll be using both terms interchangeably throughout the video. Also, when we mention tusks, we're really talking about their elongated upper canine teeth. But let's be honest, tusks just sounds cooler. Chevrotains are tiny, deer-like hoofed mammals and are believed to be the most primitive of all ruminants still walking the earth. They are nocturnal, solitary and exceptionally shy, relying on their small size, camouflage and sudden bursts of speed to stay out of trouble. They are known to be surprisingly fast and agile for their size, dashing through dense vegetation in short, zigzagging sprints to confuse predators. Their main defenses aren't brute strength or intimidation. They're small, quiet, and built for vanishing. When startled, most chevrotains freeze briefly before bursting into motion, dashing into dense undergrowth, or behind cover in a split second. Some species, like the Water Chevrotain, will even leap into rivers and hide underwater to escape danger. It's not stealth in the dramatic sense. It's all about staying low, staying unnoticed, and getting out fast. All species are peaceful herbivores, snacking on fallen fruits, leaves, buds, shoots, and the occasional bit of fungi. In doing so, they help scatter seeds and quietly support the forests they call home. They live in lush tropical and subtropical forests, usually tucked away near streams and thick undergrowth where they can stay cozy and hidden. Unlike most modern ruminants, they lack antlers, horns, and the facial scent glands common to many of their relatives. Instead, they've retained other specialized glands, such as a chin gland used for marking mates, and in the case of the Water Chevrotain, anal and preputial glands for territorial scent marking. Males are equipped with small, curved upper canines that resemble tusks, but these aren't true tusks like those in rhinos or warthogs. They're simply elongated canine teeth, which don't regrow if broken, and they are primarily used for ritualistic combat and territorial display, especially during the breeding season. They rarely cause serious injury and don't interfere with feeding. Females typically lack visible canines altogether. Often called living fossils, chevrotains have been around since the Oligocene epoch, over 30 million years ago. They've remained small, elusive, and remarkably successful through countless eras of change. Chevrotains and giraffes share a common ancestor from that distant past. But while giraffes evolved long necks and specialized feeding strategies, chevrotains stayed much closer to their primitive roots. They represent what early ruminants likely looked like and offer scientists a fascinating glimpse into the evolutionary past of hoofed mammals. They're also considered an evolutionary link between monogastrics, animals with a single-chambered stomach like pigs and dogs, and true ruminants such as cows and deer, which have a complex four-chambered digestive system. Though chevrotains have four stomach chambers, not all are as fully developed or efficient as in modern ruminants, making them a sort of transitional form in digestive evolution. In Southeast Asia, they hold a special place in culture and storytelling. In Malaysia and Indonesia, the clever little kancil, Tragulus kancil, is a famous trickster, using its wits to outsmart bigger, scarier animals. One beloved legend even tells of how the city of Malacca was founded after a mouse deer kicked a dog into a river, impressing a local ruler so much that he built a kingdom there. The biggest threats to them are habitat loss, deforestation, and hunting. As forests are cleared for farming, development or logging, these animals lose the dense cover they rely on to stay hidden. Some species are hunted for bushmeat or accidentally caught in snares intended for other wildlife. Because they're so secretive, these animals are hard to study directly. Researchers often use camera traps, which are motion-sensitive cameras set up in the forest to capture images or video of passing wildlife. They also study tracks, droppings, feeding signs and scent marking behavior, though these signs are often subtle and easy to miss. Much of what we know comes from long-term monitoring in protected forest areas and a lot of patience. They also exhibit foot-stomping behavior as an alarm signal when they perceive danger. For instance, the greater Malayan chevrotain has been observed stomping the ground at a rapid rate of about 4 beats per second when agitated. Similarly, studies on captive mouse deer have documented them producing a drumming noise by stamping with one or both hind feet when slightly alarmed. Other individuals may or may not respond by stamping in return. Here are the species we'll be exploring in this video. The lesser mouse deer, also known as the kancil, the Philippine mouse deer, the Sri Lankan spotted chevrotain, the Java mouse deer, the rare Vietnam mouse deer, the yellow striped chevrotain, the Indian spotted chevrotain, Williamson's mouse deer, the greater mouse deer, and finally, the striking water chevrotain. Now that we've explored their story as a group, let's take a closer look at the individual species, beginning with the smallest of them all. The lesser Indo-Malayan chevrotain, Tragulus kancil, is the trickster of them all, weighing just 1 to 1.5 kilograms and roughly the size of a Netherland dwarf rabbit. It's widely found across both mainland and island Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand and Vietnam. With a soft reddish-brown coat, pale underside and faint throat markings, its smooth, unpatterned fur helps it vanish into the forest floor. Like other chevrotains, it is nocturnal, solitary and extremely shy, hiding in dense undergrowth and feeding on fallen fruits, leaves, buds and shoots. The Balabac chevrotain, Tragulus nigricans, endemic to Balabac Island in the Philippines, is only slightly larger than T. kancil, weighing around 1.5 to 2 kilograms, about the size of a mini lop bunny. It has a compact body, short legs, and a dark, unmarked coat. This rich chocolate-brown coloration provides excellent camouflage in the island's dense lowland forests, where light is limited and shadows dominate. With its extremely limited range and ongoing threats from habitat loss and hunting, it's considered one of the most elusive and endangered members of its kind. The white-spotted chevrotain, Mosquiola memina, native to the lowlands of Sri Lanka, is one of the most vividly marked of all chevrotains. and roughly the same size as the Water Chevrotain, weighing around 1.5 to 2 kilograms. Its brown coat is patterned with bright white spots and thin pale stripes running along its flanks, an adaptation that helps break up its outline in the shifting light of dry zone and monsoon forests. It prefers dry open woodland and dense undergrowth, where it forages quietly near the forest floor and flees at the slightest disturbance. Its bold markings make it both striking and exceptionally difficult to spot in the wild. The silver-backed chevrotain, Tragulus versicolor, recently rediscovered in Vietnam after more than a century without confirmed sightings, is estimated to be about the size of a Singapore cat, weighing around 2 kilograms. It is named for the distinctive silver-grey stripe that runs along its back, an identifying feature unique among chevrotains. The rest of its coat is a deep dark brown with a pale underside, offering excellent camouflage in the dense forest undergrowth. Despite its rediscovery in 2019, very little is known about its behavior or conservation status due to its extreme rarity. The yellow-striped chevrotain, Mosquiola cathigra, found in the cool, wet highlands of Sri Lanka, is slightly larger than its lowland cousin, but still no bigger than an English spot rabbit. It has a darker base coat adorned with golden yellow stripes and spots that help it disappear into the mossy undergrowth and the broken sunlight of its misty highland habitat. Adapted to cooler, wetter conditions, it relies on thick vegetation for cover and is highly specialized to its narrow elevation range, making it both elusive and ecologically unique. The Indian chevrotain, Mosquiola indica, found throughout India, particularly in the Western Ghats, has a warm brown coat marked with pale spots and faint vertical stripes along its sides. These subtle patterns help it blend into the leaf-littered understory and deep shadows of moist, deciduous and evergreen forests. It's about the size of a Rex rabbit. Like its relatives, it is nocturnal, solitary and highly adapted to moving quietly through dense vegetation. The Javan chevrotain, Tragulus javanicus, found only on the island of Java, Indonesia, was once considered a subspecies of T. kancil, but is now recognized as a distinct species, and slightly larger, roughly the size of a Pomeranian. It has a smooth, reddish-brown coat with a clean white underside and generally lacks visible patterning, traits that help it stay hidden in the dim forests of Java. Visually very similar to the lesser mouse deer, it leads a quiet, ground-level life, foraging on fallen fruits, leaves and shoots. This species has some of the smallest red blood cells of any known mammal, just about 2 micrometers in diameter. Their blood cells are also more rounded than usual, which makes the blood slightly thicker. The northern chevrotain, Tragulus williamsoni, also known as Williamson's mouse deer, is known from northern Thailand and Myanmar, but remains one of the least studied chevrotains. It's about the size of a British shorthair, believed to have a plain brown coat with a pale underside, similar to other Tragulus species. Its subtle colouring helps it disappear into the shaded forest floor. Its elusive nature and the lack of reliable field data have left its behaviour, population size and conservation status largely unknown. The greater Indo-Malayan chevrotain, Tragulus napu, the largest of the Asian species, is found in Malaysia, Sumatra and Borneo, where it inhabits lowland tropical forests. About the size of a miniature schnauzer, it has a deep reddish-brown coat with a white underside and subtle throat markings. While some individuals may show faint striping or pale accents, its coloration is generally uniform. Though slightly bulkier than teacanchil, it shares the same shy, evasive behavior and remains difficult to observe in the wild. Its rich coloring helps it vanish into the dim, filtered light of Southeast Asia's forest floor. At the top of the size scale is the Water Chevrotain, Hyemoscus aquaticus, the only member of the family found outside Asia, and the largest, weighing up to 15 kilograms, about the size of a French bulldog. Native to the rainforests of West and Central Africa, it is also the sole living representative of the genus Hyemoscus. Stockier and more robust than its Asian relatives, it stands out not only for its build, but also for its vivid patterning. Its reddish-brown coat is covered in bold white spots and horizontal stripes along the back and flanks, markings that mimic the flickering light of riverbanks and forest floor. This species is uniquely semi-aquatic among chevrotains and has developed an extraordinary escape strategy. When threatened, it will leap into nearby streams or flooded areas and submerge itself completely, holding its breath for up to 4 minutes. Rather than swimming away, it tends to cling to submerged roots or walk slowly along the bottom, remaining still and out of sight. It may briefly surface for air before diving again, waiting until danger has passed. Perfectly adapted for a life spent darting between water and shadow, the Water Chevrotain is one of the most fascinating and uniquely adapted members of the chevrotain family. Though they rarely make headlines, these small creatures play a vital role in the ecosystems they call home. As forests shrink and disappear, so too does their chance to thrive. Protecting them means protecting the intricate web of life that surrounds them and preserving a living window into the deep evolutionary history of our planet.